Hey guys, it's Ben with Ben's Appliances, and today I'm going to show you how to tear down appliances in like a generic way for fun and profit, but of course profit's the only thing that really matters. This pile here is my work pile. These are all appliances that haven't been tested. This is my and I guess our staff's to-do list, and I got a gob of appliances here that need tested. Now, before we really start scrapping anything to make profit for eBay, we always test appliances, but this amount of appliances kind of gives me a good base to show you guys what is worth money on a bunch of different appliances. I'm gonna go pick a few appliances out, show you what's worth money on them, so you have an idea on what to look for when you're scrapping. I'm not going to be doing a full teardown, but a few partial teardowns to kind of give you guys an idea, again, on what to do. But before we begin going through appliances, the one thing I want to stress to you is that before you really tear anything down, you want to test it first, just to see what's actually wrong, or if you can just flip the appliances working, or pull every single possible component off of a unit and make the full potential profit. But the rule of thumb is you don't want to sell anything that could be broken. So if you start running the appliance first and it tests out okay, awesome. But if you know what's wrong with it, you can identify what may be totally blasted on it to isolate something. The first unit I think I'm going to look at is going to be this style English washer. And I'm going to cut to some stuff and we're going to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to narrate a little bit of this while I do it. It's in real time. It's not going to be sped up for anything. No camera tricks, no nothing. There's a ton of videos on how to take these apart online, so I'm not going to bore you with taking the time to tell you how to take it apart, other than the fact there's 2 screws on the back of it. Probably the easiest machine to take apart for money ever made, because all your money, or at least a good bit of your money, is in the top right here for the timer. Big thing you always want to look out for is your timer, because as long as everything works on the timer, that's probably half your money just right there. And this is where the magic of YouTube would be really, really fun to just edit it out, but one of the screws doesn't want to come out, of course. So here's your money on this unit. Your timer's right here, pretty easy to take apart. Any of these units that you get a top load washer that have these like almond plastic timers, I tend to think they're worth more money. I don't know what it is right now because I'm not going to research this till I'm done with the video and it'll all be in post, but doesn't take too long to pull these out, except for this little miracle piece right here. This unit has a nice little, it's lower than a 1/4 inch square nut on it. Holding the entire timing unit in. So as soon as we get this little bugger off, it's going to be our first little bit of money on a unit. So here's the first piece that comes off. It is a 8572976A washer timer. So the deal with this one is it's going to probably be worth 50 to 60 bucks. I'll put up on the screen what it's actually worth, but I'm 2 minutes into this and I know that this is going to sell within about 3 days. So that's pretty cool. Now the weird thing about this unit is that this stupid little pressure sensor, I priced it before I started tearing this down, and since this is a newer style, Whirlpool was made about 2009, the late model components on these tend to be worth more money than the older units, at least when it comes to pressure sensors and water valves and things. The newer ones are worth a little bit of money. This pressure sensor here, normally they're worth like $5, but this one is worth closer to 20 to 25 in a weird turn of pricing events. So with any luck in YouTube magic, I can pull this one off, not taking too much time. Hopefully not damaging it. I don't like taking these components off because they tend to be pretty ingrained in there. Quarter turn once you pull something out, and there's probably another 15 to 20 bucks right there. So we're up to 80 bucks on this machine roughly, which is pretty cool. Getting into why these units are so awesome, it's pretty straightforward because they're really easy to take apart. On a modern front load machine, it takes a lot of time to get them apart, but I got, what, 5 minutes in this so far, and we're already ready to take the whole dang thing apart. 2 little latches here, which these may sell for a little bit of money, but it's not worth it to me. And here's the whole guts of the whole machine, all tore down gloriously. So here's the guts of the machine once that hull is removed. I know you can't see it from the fixed position, but what's worth money on something like this is the agitator can be worth 20 bucks if it's cleaned up. And then underneath, some of these motors are worth a good bit of money. Right here is the harness and then the motor. This one's rusty, so I don't think it's gonna be worth much. And then the other thing on these direct drives is the transmission, but this one is not in good shape. I don't know if the lighting's okay, but there's a little bit of transmission oil there. So the rest of this unit probably not worth a lot, but the transmission here can be worth between $50 and $80. And that is kind of universal between whether it's a Whirlpool or a GE or just about any other machine. The transmissions can be worth good money. Motors can be worth money on Whirlpools, but on GEs, they're worth a whole lot more if they have the circuitry with them. The GE washer motors tend to be worth about $60 to $80. And I sell quite a few of them. So that's kind of a rough guide to a top load. Next up is going to be this Frigidaire double stack machine. I almost never like to part these out if I can restore them. They're like 300 bucks working, which is awesome. But this one has a leaky tub seal, which means that the only way to fix it is to tear the whole thing apart and then replace it either with another tub from another Frigidaire machine or rebuild the tub seal, which is kind of a job, which don't really want to do. So I'm just going to take the timer off of this and see if it's one of the really expensive ones. Sometimes these machines are branded as Kenmore instead of Frigidaire, same parts on the inside of it. I've never actually seen a video on taking one of these apart on YouTube. This is one of the first machines I really wanted to get some info on to try to take apart and never found anything. So, oh, and it does have 2 timers on it as well, so double the money, I guess. It does have a dryer timer on it, and then has the washer timer on it. Dryer timers are almost never worth much money, at least for mechanical ones. So I got the timer panel off for everything, and now to reveal whether or not the serial number on this is worth anything. 131, that's a 964200. I don't know that number off the top of my head, but it could be worth quite a bit. There's a few in this series that have like the last number of 600 that are worth a ton of money that sell within like a day. So depending on what I find out on eBay, this could be worth quite a bit. Frigidaire dryer timers, man, these are in bad shape, but they work, so that's kind of all that matters. Frigidaire timers do not sell for a lot of money. This one's probably going to go for, let me see what the model number is. Yeah, this is a 1317 96100. I think these are only worth about 20 bucks used, but again, the washer timers, as a rule of thumb, worth a whole lot more money. And all I have to do is the same thing I did on this one. I just have to hold that stem, pull the front of the knob off, and it's going to come off in about 10 seconds. So that's it for this unit, at least on the timers. And then underneath you have a motor that could be worth quite a bit. I'm going to take a snapshot of that timer and see what's up. Or not timer, but motor. That one could be worth a lot. Don't know yet. Drain pumps never really worth a whole lot of money unless they're really exotic, and this is not an exotic machine. When it comes to dryers and heating elements and different components, I think they're worthless for the amount of time you put in the unit. If you're just trying to be quick, you're going to take the motor and the timers and maybe the agitator and underneath the washer, and that call it a day on that type of unit. Now, next in line is refrigerators. And I had an interesting conversation with a person that makes like $20,000 a month on eBay selling parts. And they were saying that they only pull electronics and mechanical timers off of units, and that's it. And the thing is, in my experience, that's kind of absurd because there can be really good money in these units that don't involve just electronics. Electronics are worth a lot, but the shelves in some units can be worth a ton of money. This is a Whirlpool side by side, and I know for a fact it doesn't work. Plugged it in, doesn't test well. So you have all these different shelves in the units, and you can be pretty surprised on what they're worth. Sometimes these stupid drawers are worth 25 to 30 bucks. Not every brand is, not every model and style is, but there is a ton of money that can be sitting in these shelves. And since I'm doing this in real time, I'm going to research the numbers and throw the part numbers up on the screen as we go to kind of give you an idea on what these are worth. But sometimes these are worth $30 to $40 each on the crisper drawers. The ice machines are always good money if you're willing to go through and take all the components out. These ice trays, the whole component set, I have seen them go for $100. I actually just sold one of those ice trays for I think $35, and I got to ship it out today or tomorrow. The auger motor here, there's just a few screws around it. Those can be worth pretty good money, but you do have to take this whole unit apart. Now, I will tell you where all your money is in this unit, as long as it works, is this thing right here. This is not a component that I would imagine my rivals take apart, but the IR sensor and ice maker controller, last one I sold off of Maytag was $100, and it's literally this cutout right here on the inside of it. So all I got to do is take this panel off, pull this one, and I think there's another sensor here that's $25, but this setup right here is probably $150 used, and you're going to have 5 or 10 minutes in it. But the only way you find this out is if you just research the parts, and a lot of people don't do that. Rule of thumb, shelves aren't worth a whole lot like this. I've had very bad luck with French doors and side-by-side selling your standard glass shelves. What tends to sell are the crisper drawers and the bottom crisper shelves. But again, I'm going to throw up a bunch of the numbers on the screen in post, and you'll have a good idea what can be worth money. This one works, I believe. This nice little GE fridge, it's newer, so I'm probably just going to sell that one once it works, get it cleaned up. It says it's a GE, but it almost looks like a LG or another brand. You'd be surprised how many are not made by the company they say. Frigidaire's for top freezers, these are actually worth probably more than any other unit in terms of speed of sale. This one's not worth the most, but these bar drawers right here, those can go for about $15 each. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those. So just right there on this fridge, you have, what, $75 if my math is right, just for like 5 minutes of work, if that. These door hinges, especially the middle ones on Frigidaire's, can be worth a ton of money, at least relative to the amount of work. You may get 20 bucks out of this, but it's literally going to cost you $2 to ship, and you have all of 10 seconds pulling these off. What really matters on these top freezer fridges are these. This is kind of the holy grail of refrigerators right here. This is a Frigidaire drawer. I can't remember the part number off the top of my head. That right there, and I know for a fact they sell because I just sold one 3 days ago, that is $45 right there. And there are 2 of them in that fridge, so that's almost 100 bucks shipped. It will cost you a little bit to ship, but super easy money. And then the crisper drawer top here, these can be worth $40 to $50 like this style, but if this is the same thing in glass and you had the glass intact and it has those little, like, I don't know, speed holes in the back of it, I sold one of these not too long ago and it was 90 bucks shipped, maybe 10 bucks in shipping for me. So these units sell for a lot. The fastest I've ever made money on this type of fridge, I sold components off of this and made $200 in a single day that had just a little bit different type of these bar drawers, and then had a few other components in it. The door gasket seal on this is worth a ton of money. I don't know about it specifically on the white ones, but the black ones usually resell for about $60 each, and they move pretty fast. So on a standard top freezer fridge, you can add up $300, $400, $500 in components very fast, and they will sell very fast as well. The door handles, I don't know about these type, but the standard top freezer fridges, people lose them all the time, and I sold 2 of them for like $70 off of just one Frigidaire. I made like $500 off of one Frigidaire in just a few days. So you can do pretty well. And then this is finally, I know I haven't done any electric stovetop teardowns, but this is kind of what I'm going to call a visual teardown because this unit works and I'm going to sell it for money to get some cash in my pocket instead of partying it out, because I generally try to sell things if they work. But this is a generic Kenmore electric top stove. Pretty sure it's a Frigidaire model, but when you're scrapping or tearing down these for profit, the big thing is you want to make sure that these work. All your money, or at least most of your money, is wrapped up in this board right here. And I will display the model number of the board and then what it's worth. But I'd say half your money is typically here, and it's always good money for these boards, regardless of the brand, whether it's GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Samsung, LG. You're going to get minimum $40 on a board, but I have definitely had quite a few sales on these in the $80 to $100 range. The relays really vary from brand to brand. I want to say, like I believe I mentioned, this is a Frigidaire. Relays aren't worth a lot if they're the mechanical style like this. Newer stoves use potentiometers from Frigidaire, and those go, instead of maybe 10 to 15 bucks, they jump up to about $20 to $50 depending on the style, and they can be worth good money. Again, if they're a specific kind, you need to check eBay for them. What's worth a lot of money on these is the glass top. If it is a glass top, these break all the time. And if you have a top to this in good shape, which this is in really good shape, there's no really marring on the inside of the glass. Everything's intact, definitely no cracks on it. These can be worth anywhere from $75 plus shipping up to $150 used, and they do tend to sell kind of fast. People break them a lot. Trim on the doors, the door handles, and then what's behind it with the trim, depending if it's a one-piece design, can be worth a good bit of money. This is a two-piece design. The glass on the front can be worth money. You have to be very gentle in taking it apart, but it can be worth quite a bit. Kenmore Frigidaire's, the burners underneath are not worth too much money in my experience. Other brands like LG and Samsung are worth a ton of money. Rule of thumb on these is that the back burners, the 6 inches, are almost never worth anything. People tend to use and burn out the 9-inch to 12-inch zones really fast. These are worth more. Kenmore, Frigidaire, Whirlpools, you're probably looking at maybe $30 to $40 for the dual zone burners. But on Samsungs and LGs, I have sold them for north of $100 just for one burner. So if it was a Samsung, you could be looking at $150 just from the burners, maybe $200 just from the burners. That doesn't include the board or anything else. So some brands can be worth an absolute gold mine of money when it comes to stoves. But again, the rule of thumb is you want to make sure that this works and it's going to power your oven heating element on the inside. I'm going to show you what the boards look like if they're bad, so you know what to look out for. So for some weird reason, I do not have any burnt, destroyed oven boards that would match this Kenmore or Frigidaire. However, I have no short supply of destroyed dryer relay boards, which use kind of the same theory as a stove does. Electricity goes in, electricity goes out. You put a lot of electricity and heat through a dryer board as well as a stove board, and then they tend to blow up. This is probably the best selling part you're going to find from a dryer. It is a Whirlpool dryer board, and there's the part number on it. They come in a few different flavors, but any modern electronic driven dryer from Whirlpool is going to have this style board in it. And this one's actually a customer return because he tried to swap out a working board for this one that does not work. And the easiest way to tell this board doesn't work is to take it out of the plastic casing and look to see what's going on. And you can see that something got hot and toasty over on the left side, and the relay, either the solder came out and arced or the relay itself is totally blown. So if you see any sort of electronical damage on any board, you want to stay clear of selling it for sure, but you can repair these. We have repaired quite a few of these style boards before and put them back in dryers and gotten them to work pretty well. This is another board, worse shape, definitely needs a new relay. And you can kind of trace and see what exactly goes wrong on these. It is this style relay. The same relay or something very, very similar are on stoves, and they go bad just the same. This is a older style board from a Duet, and yet again, it is going to be the same issue. It happens a lot on these units, so you want to steer clear of selling those on eBay. And I do have to say, to their credit, on this board, when the customer returned it and I had a picture of the back of the board, they did refund me the sale price on it, so I didn't have to pay for their error. I'm doing a lot more watermarking on my units now to try to steer clear of them defrauding me. When it comes to dryers, it's kind of hard, in my opinion, to get a lot of money out of these. The most important things you're going to get is that dryer board on the inside of it. Sometimes the touchscreen interface, which is a separate part, can be worth money, but it varies from unit to unit. Some interfaces can be worth $30 to $100. You just never know. Door glass and door handles also can be worth pretty good money on dryers. Again, it depends on the model. You have to do some research, but it's good. The lint filters can be good money. You may get 15 to 25 bucks. And then the lint housings on the inside can be worth money too, because they tend to crack. Dryers, I'll be honest, you don't make a lot of money off of scrapping them outside of the boards, but the boards can be worth a lot of money. The 3 boards that I have over here, each of those boards sells for about $80 on eBay. But the thing is, every time I list one, they sell in about 3 days. So it's money right away, and then the shipping cost on these isn't bad at all. So you clear at least 80% of the sell price on these very fast. So those are pretty cool to deal with. And while we're looking at other units, here's a unit I think we're going to fix. I want to say the lid lock on this unit is bad, or something else needs switched on it. We're going to be able to fix it, but we'll go over the parts on this one real quick. This is a larger style Whirlpool timer, and the part number is upside down here. But this one, I want to say, is worth about 60 to 70 bucks pretty easily. Generally, the ones that are plastic are worth more, but the mechanical slash all metal style can be worth a good bit of money too. But this is why you want to always investigate every component on your units. This is a modern temperature sensor on a Whirlpool top load washer, and I know for a fact that this is worth $40, just this piece right here. They either don't make them anymore, or they are something in the ballpark of $80 new, and you can actually open these up and refurbish them like you would a dryer timer. So a lot of money there. And then I want to say this is another one of those exact same style pressure sensors that I pulled off that Inglis a few minutes ago. So right here alone on this top, you have $100, and that doesn't include the gear case or the motor or anything underneath it. I'm going to sell this maybe for 200 bucks, if that, but in that top alone, assuming it works, you have a ton of money just sitting there. Going over to washers, these front loaders are, I would say on average, worth a lot of money. There's a lot of good components on front load washers. They're not going to make, you know, $1,000 or $1,500, maybe an oddball gas stove will, but the prices are pretty freaking consistent. In this style, you have the interface. If it works, you can usually get $40 to $60 on something like this. I know it because I just had to buy this off of eBay because it's a customer's interface and I paid $40 for it. So it definitely does sell. Some pressure switches in these top loaders, there's a small style that looks almost like a Beetle. They go for $40 to $60 all day long. They're $100 retail, but they're very small. So if you get a Whirlpool or a Whirlpool style like an older Kenmore, there's a ton of money just in those pressure sensors because they go bad, but you do have to validate it. Water valves usually are not worth a lot of money on front loaders because they're so common. So probably not worth much on something like this. You have the control board right there. I don't know what model number that is. In my experience though, you're gonna get $40 to $60 off of that. So just in the top, you know, 5 to 10 minutes worth of work, you have $100 on this unit. The doors and door latches can be worth some money if they're in clean, good shape. The door hinges on some of these models are worth good money. There's a kind that kind of like telescope out, and they have like little metal pieces. They tend to break a lot. Those are worth $40, and they sell probably like a dozen a week. So instant money right there. Underneath the unit, drain pumps are worthless on pretty much any washer unless it's an oddball drain pump. Any more of these are coming out from the same exact factory. And then in the back of the unit, right behind it, that is your motor control right there, the MCU. Those can be worth anywhere from $30 to $80 depending on the brand. They're a pain to get out, but if you're taking the whole unit apart, there's some good money there. And then finally, if the unit was working all together or if the electronics were bad, the spider bracket in the back of these tubs, which you have to take everything apart for, those can go up to $100 used because they don't make the certain styles anymore. So that's some extra good money on a front load. On average for a front load, I would say you should be getting about $300 in parts if it's broken, assuming all the major components or maybe one of them isn't working, but good consistent money on these. And it doesn't matter the brand, Samsung, LG, Kenmore, Frigidaire, they all have a lot of parts in them that are usually worth between $30 and $100 each. And this one's a Whirlpool Duet Sport. I know for a fact the bracket in them, which tend to be pretty good, are worth $100. That's your most expensive component, is that rear drum support. And then the last thing I'm going to go over in this video is a gas stove. It's very similar in components to an electrical stove in the fact that you're going to have your board here. This is a GE, so it's all an integrated system with this. It's going to be worth a nice little chunk of change. But when it comes to gas stoves, burner grates can be worth money depending on the brand. But the big thing that I want to mention is the gas valves that run on the inside of this. A few weeks ago, I posted a video of a Kenmore gas stove that stripped down for a lot of money. And as an update to it, I'll tell you, the first things that have gone for a lot of money are these stinking things right here. And they're similar between all the different brands. And on this one, I don't know what the exact price is, but I can tell you on the KitchenAid I got, the Whirlpool valves go for $60 each. And there were 5 of them on the stove I tore down, and this one has 4, so that alone can be worth quite a bit of money. But on top of it, you have all the other components, the door handle, the door glass, the aforementioned burner control with the timer on it, the grate. So there can be a good bit of money in these. Electric stoves, especially a coil top like that, are going to be pretty close to useless. The central relay that handles the oven, you may have $20 or $30 in that component, but everything else in it, you're going to struggle to get good money on. You have the burner elements, those are standard, except for the absolute newest ones where they redesigned burners to make them more efficient but less reliable. Those are going to be worth money in 2 or 3 years, and you can get some good money out of those. But your standard units like this are going to be close to useless. And it's the same way generally with your mechanical dryers. I haven't really included those, and I said I was done with the video, but I'll go over one of these units real quick. On a standard electric 240 volt dryer, all the thing that's going to be worth money are these timers. This is a newer style hot point, and they have a real bad problem with these timer shafts stripping off. They can be rebuilt if you have the timer shaft from another maybe bad dryer timer, but you're going to be lucky to get $40 out of the timer on these types of units. The temperature control is worthless. The start knobs and the start timers are worth a little bit of money on a GE, but the issue is that I would say you're going to be lucky to get $80 to $100 of parts off a dryer, even if it's kind of new. The lint trap's worth a little bit of money, and the housing, if you have one that's removable, but otherwise it's just, you're not going to get much money out of dryers. My experience is better just to sell them outright, unless they're electronic. If they're a newer touchscreen, the controls are definitely worth money. Anything newer with electronics is always cash, but on a lot of other types you can get different little odds and end pieces that are worth money, but dryers not so much. So I think I've gone over most of the types of machines you can find and make money off of: stoves, fridges, washers, dryers. The rule of thumb again is all the electronics and mechanical stuff's worth the most, but every unit is unique. I'm working myself on a parts system to where I can just type a model number in and get a quick valuation on what to pull. One day I hope to show you that, but for now it's kind of an exclusive thing because we're still working on it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.